The energy inside Studio 6B was electric, filled with that distinctive excitement that only comes when a major action star walks through those famous curtains. The Roots were playing something upbeat, Jimmy Fallon's unmistakable laugh echoing off the walls, and the iconic New York City skyline glittered through the massive windows. Tonight's guest was Vin Diesel, the gravel-voiced action hero whose career had been defined by high-octane chases and his unwavering commitment to family, both on screen and off. He walked out with that characteristic commanding presence, broad shoulders, shaved head catching the lights, wearing a simple black shirt that looked both casual and impossibly cool. The audience erupted as he raised one hand, his famous smile transforming him from intimidating action hero into approachable guy. Jimmy stood immediately, arms outstretched, and they embraced with easy familiarity. It was supposed to be standard promotional talk, discuss the latest Fast and Furious film, share behind-the-scenes stories, send everyone home entertained. But as Vin settled into the guest chair and scanned the audience, his dark eyes suddenly locked onto something in the seventh row that made his entire body language shift from relaxed celebrity to deeply focused human being. There sat a man in his early 40s, wearing a worn black leather jacket, holding something cradled in both hands like a sacred relic, a perfect, meticulously detailed scale model of a 1970 Dodge Charger, the iconic car synonymous with Fast and Furious, its glossy black paint gleaming under the lights, sitting in a custom wooden display case lined with red velvet. Vin's eyes remained fixed with an intensity that transcended curiosity, his jaw tightening in a way that suggested something profound was happening. Jimmy noticed immediately. "Vin, you okay, brother?" he asked, leaning forward. "Yeah," Vin responded, voice carrying slight roughness. "That guy in the seventh row, he's holding something that's got me thrown right now." The audience shifted attention collectively. The man realized he'd become the center of focus, eyes widening with shock and something deeper, desperate hope mixed with grief barely contained. But before we show you what happened next, if stories like this matter to you, if moments of real human connection are why you're watching, hit subscribe because what you're about to witness will change how you think about family and brotherhood forever. When the commercial break came, Vin leaned toward Jimmy with urgency. "I need to know who that man is and why he's here with that car. I have a feeling I can't ignore." Jimmy immediately signaled his producer, and within seconds, an assistant was quietly making their way toward the seventh row. The show resumed, Jimmy launching into questions about fight choreography, but there was palpable tension underlying the banter. Vin tried to focus, but his eyes kept drifting back toward that seventh row, toward that man still holding that perfect miniature charger like it contained his entire world. Then, 15 minutes into what should have been straightforward celebrity talk, the man stood up slowly, movements careful and deliberate, took one step into the aisle. His wife reached to touch his arm with concern, but he gently patted her hand and continued forward with quiet determination. Jimmy's voice faltered, words evaporating as the studio became aware something unscripted was happening. Security tensed, but Jimmy raised his hand in a gesture of trust and permission, instincts telling him whatever was unfolding needed to happen without interference. The man walked down the aisle with steady steps, the model car held before him like an offering. When he reached the stage edge, he looked up at Vin with eyes already glistening, throat working as he struggled to find words. Vin stood immediately, moving to the stage edge and lowering into a crouch to be at eye level, eliminating distance between celebrity and person. "What's your name, brother?" Vin asked, voice gentle. "Marcus," the man replied, trembling slightly. "Marcus Sullivan." He lifted the model car, presenting it fully. "My brother made this. His name was Jacob Sullivan, and he was the most talented model builder I ever knew, but he absolutely loved your movies, loved everything about Fast and Furious." Marcus paused, swallowing hard. He spent 8 months building this charger, 8 months of meticulous work done mostly at night after factory shifts, measuring every proportion, mixing custom paint for that exact glossy black finish, hand-stitching the tiny leather seats, creating miniature working doors with real hinges barely visible to the naked eye. Pride momentarily overtook grief as he described his brother's dedication. Vin listened with complete attention, and Jimmy remained perfectly still, understanding his role was simply to witness. But he didn't finish it for himself, Marcus continued, voice beginning to crack. He finished it for me. Finished it while dying from pancreatic cancer discovered too late to treat. Finished it during those final months when he should have been resting. Tears spilled freely down his cheeks. The night before he died, his last night on Earth when he could barely speak, he asked me to bring this car so he could see his completed work one final time, and he held it just like I'm holding it now, and he looked at me and said something I'll never forget. Marcus paused, overcome. He said, "Mark, promise me you'll find a way to show this to Vin Diesel someday, because his movies taught me what family really means, taught me that the people you choose to love are just as important as the people you're born to." Marcus locked eyes with Vin. He said, "Tell Vin that his character taught me how to be a better brother, taught me that showing up for people you love is the greatest strength anyone can possess. And even, though I'm leaving you too soon, I need you to know that every moment we had together mattered because we were family in the truest sense, the way Dom and his crew are family on screen." Vin's face transformed completely. Celebrity composure dissolved, replaced by raw emotion that made him look vulnerable and somehow more authentically himself. Tears flowed freely, unself-conscious about crying before millions. He reached out and carefully took the model from Marcus's hands, cradling it with reverent gentleness, thick fingers, surprisingly delicate as they traced the perfect lines. "This is beautiful," Vin whispered, voice rough. "Your brother was an artist, a real artist. And this is a masterpiece." He stood, still holding the car, and placed it gently on the desktop, where lights made its surface gleam with almost supernatural brilliance. "Jimmy," Vin said, addressing his host and the cameras beyond, "I've spent 20-plus years making these fast and furious movies, and people ask why we keep coming back to the same themes: family, loyalty, showing up for people who matter most." He gestured toward Marcus. "This is why. This right here is the exact reason, because somewhere beyond all the stunts and Hollywood magic, these themes are resonating with real people going through real struggles and real loss, and if our work can give someone like Jacob a framework for understanding what brotherhood means, then every hour on set, every injury, every moment away from my own family has been absolutely worth it." Vin's voice grew stronger with conviction. "Jacob Sullivan built this car while dying. Think about that and let it sink in. He was in pain, exhausted, knew his time was limited, and he chose to spend precious hours creating something beautiful as a message to his brother and to me, a complete stranger." The weight of that hung in the air. That's not just fandom. That's love manifested in physical form, someone using their gifts to create a lasting testament to bonds that made their life meaningful, and I am honored beyond words that our films played any role in helping Jacob express what his relationship with his brother meant. Vin turned to Marcus directly. "Your brother's final wish was for you to show me this car and tell me his message, and you've done that. You've honored his request and completed the mission." He picked up the charger again, holding it high. "This car is not staying with me on a shelf where only I can see it, because that would miss the entire point of why your brother made it. This car is going to travel. It's coming with me to every single premiere of every future Fast and Furious film, and it's going to sit in a place of honor where fans can see it and learn Jacob's story, and understand that what we're communicating isn't just entertainment, but truth about human connection." Vin's voice took on passionate intensity. "And when people ask about it, and they will, I'm going to tell them about Jacob Sullivan, who built this masterpiece during his final months as a message about family and love, and I'm going to make sure his name and story become part of the legacy of these films, because that's what he deserves." The studio erupted into genuine, emotion-driven applause. People stood, many wiping tears, connected through shared recognition of profound humanity on display. Marcus stood frozen, overwhelmed, and then Vin stepped down from the stage completely, moving into the audience with the model still in hand, wrapping one powerful arm around Marcus's shoulders, pulling him into an embrace while carefully protecting Jacob's creation between them. "Your brother is still teaching people about family right now, through you, through this car, through the courage it took to stand up and share his story with millions," Vin said quietly into Marcus's ear, close enough to microphones to be captured. That's his real legacy, not just this beautiful object, but the example of using whatever time you have to tell people you love that they matter. They stood together for a long moment, two men connected by a third, who neither would forget, while the audience continued their standing ovation and Jimmy openly cried, making no attempt to hide emotion. When they separated, Vin kept one hand on Marcus's shoulder. I want you to know one more thing and really hear this. Your brother chose you to carry his final message, chose you to be the one who would complete this mission, and that choice was the deepest compliment one person can give another. He knew you would find a way to make this happen, knew you had the strength and determination to see it through, and he was absolutely right. Marcus nodded, unable to speak through overwhelming emotion, but his expression communicated gratitude and relief and peace. The peace of completing a sacred duty and honoring a promise made to someone loved who can no longer be present. The segment continued, though no one remembered much about what was discussed afterward, because the moment with Marcus and Jacob's car had eclipsed everything else. The video went viral immediately, spreading across platforms and borders because the emotions it captured were universal and deeply human. Vin kept his promise naturally. The model Charger traveled to every premiere and event, displayed with a plaque reading, "In memory of Jacob Sullivan, who understood that family is everything." Thousands photographed the car and shared Jacob's story, ensuring his brief life and love continued to inspire people long after his death. Marcus and Vin developed ongoing friendship, and Vin privately funded a scholarship in Jacob's name for young people pursuing crafts and artisan work, ensuring his dedication to creating beautiful things would inspire future generations. The Tonight Show segment became one of the most rewatched clips in the program's history, referenced constantly as an example of what makes live television special. Those rare moments when entertainment falls away and something real and raw happens spontaneously. Jimmy still speaks about that night with visible emotion, describing it as when he finally understood the true power of his platform and responsibility to create space for authentic human connections. And somewhere beyond what we can see or prove, perhaps Jacob Sullivan knows his final mission was accomplished perfectly, that his love for his brother was witnessed and honored by millions, and that the car he built became a lasting symbol of everything he believed about family and loyalty and bonds that make life worth living. Because in the end, that's what Fast and Furious has always been about beneath the spectacular crashes, showing up for people you love, honoring chosen family as sacred, living with knowledge that our time is limited, and therefore every moment, with those who matter, becomes infinitely precious. Jacob Sullivan understood that truth more deeply than most, and he made sure his final act was to communicate that understanding through the work of his hands and the message carried faithfully by his beloved brother, creating connection that would outlive his physical presence and continue teaching people about love long after his story ended.